Alright, so here's a little mini tutorial for you. It is how to rig a model, in this specific case the default Glock 18 from Counter-Strike Source, from SMD format so that you can animate it. So I'm going to assume that you already have your model decompiled into SMD format. You already have the textures from the GCF file, and you have an SMD importer installed on your 3ds Max. So first step is just go ahead and import the model. Now when you decompile it, you're going to get all of these animations. What you want to look for is anything that says ref or reference in it. You can see there's a hand in the Glock 18. We just want the Glock. So we're going to go ahead and import that. Make sure both of those aren't checked. Just hit OK, OK. Once that's done, you'll be left with this. Now if we open this up, you can see this looks really weird right now. So I'm going to select everything, Alt-click on the actual model to get rid of it, and just hit delete. Now you'll just be left with the model itself. And since this is a default model, only half of the gun is actually modeled, so that kind of sucks, but whatever. Now when you import it into SMD format, the model is all one piece. So now we have to rig it to take apart the slide, the magazine, the trigger, etc. So what you're going to want to do is just go in here, editable mesh. If a box pops up, just hit yes. And you're going to click element down here. You can also do that from the drop down menu. Now the rest is pretty straightforward. Just click what you want to detach. So you got that right there. When it's red, that means it's highlighted, or when it's highlighted, that means it's selected. So we're going to detach the trigger. So just click the trigger, go down here, hit detach. Just going to name it trigger. And we're going to do the same for the slide. And since the slide and the iron sights are all connected, I'm just going to control click on them to select it all at once. And detach slide. And magazine, which I'm going to switch to wireframe here for a second. And there is actually I think that's a bullet. I'm pretty sure if that's a round. It's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, I'm going to assume that's a round. So you can take that, and we are going to take the magazine. Actually, just the magazine for now. Going to detach that as the mag. Now on a simple model like this, you only really have 3 moving parts to worry about. Technically only 2 if you really want. The trigger isn't a big one. It's good practice to do it though. So the slide for the shooting and reload animations, and the magazine. So congratulations, your model is now separated. Now, as you can see, the corners on everything that we separated are very sharp. But this is all blobby. So we're just going to select everything else, hit Control A to select everything else, hit detach, just main or frame, whatever. So now that we have the model all separated, you can see everything now moves independently. The magazine and such all moves separately, which is good. Now you can see when we move this, nothing else moves with it. So we have to link it up. But before we link it, we have to fix the rotations on it, because as you can see right now, the rotation gizmo is way back here. So if we go and rotate this, it's going to rotate on a very, very wide angle, and that can be very annoying. So to do this, we're just going to click the one that we want to adjust, go over to hierarchy, effect pivot only, center to object. Now since I am doing the main grip right now, I'm just going to go ahead and drag this, make sure you still have effect pivot only on. Just going to drag this to the origin of the model. Now since this is a handgun and your hands will be positioned on the grip, that is where the main point will be. So once you have it set on the grip, go ahead and click that. And now your rotating origin will be right here. Now I'm going to do the same with the others. Effect pivot, center to object. Effect pivot, center to object. Now, things about the trigger, since it doesn't rotate in the actual center of the object, we are going to offset it. So we're just going to bring it up here. Going to hit rotate, deselect that, and see how it rotates. If that looks good, then that's good. If it doesn't look good, we're just going to adjust it a little more to around there. Just try and rotate it. And that looks good right there. And the last one we have to do is the magazine. Now, since the magazine is on a slanted, it comes out on a slant, not directly down. If we center to the object, and then switch this over to local, when we go straight down, it's just going to go straight down and clip completely through the grip there, which we don't want. So we're going to hit effect that, align to object. That may or may not work. It doesn't always work for me. So, if it doesn't work for you, you can just go ahead and manually rotate it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, you don't even have to do this if you don't want to. It just makes it easier. And now, when it's on local and we move it out, it should. You can see it's clipping through a little bit, but on the inside and the front of the mag wheel, so you won't even see it anyway. So that's good. So now that everything is linked up, everything has its pivots fixed, we're going to link it up so that when we move the main part of the gun, everything stays with it. But before we even do that, we are going to fix all of this smoothing here. So, go ahead, click apart, over here, it's right there. You have this drop down menu, just scroll down until you find smooth, which is somewhere right there. Just click auto smooth. Now it might look really bad, but that's okay. It's fine. You can, if it looks really weird, like really blotchy in some spots, you can put prevent indirect smoothing on, and then just play around with this. Like if there's sharp edges and you know that they shouldn't be that smooth, you can play around with that. You just click and drag it till it's smooth the way you want it, like that. You can see you got some smoothing errors there. See if you put it way too high, it's just get all blotchy. So I'm just going to keep it at around 28, I would say. That seems good for now. It is a default model, so it's not all that great. You can do the same thing to all the other ones. Smooth, auto smooth. See if you've got a little bit of, there we go. See, that one was a fast fix. You've got a little bit of a smoothing error right there, but you won't really notice it because it's right on the side. Do the same with the trigger. The trigger isn't a big deal because you're pretty much never looking at it, and when you are, there's usually a finger covering it up anyway. So you can hit auto smooth, and that one seems smooth enough anyway. Now the magazine, just go ahead, smooth, auto smooth. Now to see if this actually did it, we're going to right click on the main part of the body and just press hide selection. Now we can look at the magazine freely, which it's smooth, so that's good. Right click, unhide all. Now your weapon is ready to be linked up. So everything's smooth, everything's disconnected. It's all good to go. So to link it, rule of thumb is link everything to the main part of the body. Whatever your hand rig, your character is going to be holding on to, that's what you want to link it to. So in this case, it's the main part of the body. So everything that we detach needs to be linked to the main. So we're just going to select the slide. Go. There are several ways to do this. This is just the way I do it. Go animation, constraints, link constraint. And this little line will appear. Just go ahead, click on the main. And now you see when you move this, the slide will stay with it. But when you move the slide can still move independently. And that's what we want. So we can lock the slide back and still move this around. So now we're also going to link up the trigger, animation, constraint, link constraint, and the magazine. Animation, constraint, link constraint. So now when we move this around, you can see it's all one piece. It's all one piece, yet everything can still move independently, which is what we want. So now we're going to apply the textures. Something's weird. There we go. So applying the textures in 3ds Max is fairly easy. I have a VTF plugin, so I don't have to convert it to TGAs. So hit M to open your material browser, or material editor, sorry. If it looks like this, not that. If it looks like this is what I think it opens up as default if you've never opened it before. Just go to Mode, Compact Material Editor, and you'll pop up with these things. Easiest way to do this is just navigate to wherever your textures are. And then just drag them in. There we go. Now you can drag them onto the model itself. Simple as that. And there you go. You now have a textured and rigged weapon ready to animate. So now we are going to import, we are going to merge. What is here besides that? Is there anything? Whatever that was. We are going to merge a hand rig. So before you do any of this, I recommend you save your model. I'm going to go default Glock, save it as just Glock. Now we're going to go import. Now depending on what kind of Max you have, it might not be the same as this. Gonna go to import, just hold your mouse over import, then click merge. Then navigate to your hand rig, wherever that will be. Right there. When this pops up, just click all, OK. And there you go. Your hand rig is now imported. Now there we go. Now Z centers, if you don't know hotkeys, I rarely use many hotkeys in this besides Z. Z centers your viewports on the model. If you don't have anything selected, it will center it on whatever is in the scene. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off all the grids on this. You do that by pressing G. Going to turn all of these onto smooth. And I'm going to turn this top viewport into the head cam. So that's pretty much it. Now you can start by moving. This is what you will see in game, by the way. This is what it will look like in game. So if you just had like this gun right here on this screen and you exported and compiled it, you would just have the gun floating in the middle of the screen with two hands off to the side. But we don't want that. Now source engine, or it's just this compiler that I use, it flips models when you compile them. So say if you animate it on the left side, in game it would look on the right side and vice versa. So I tend to animate on the left side just so I don't have to use any scripts or such afterwards. So we're just going to find a good origin for this. Just going to pick something quickly. Yeah, that seems good. Usually origin is everything, so you want to get a good origin. For the purpose of this tutorial, though, I'm not going to spend too long on it. Now, since it is on your left-hand side, or it's on my left-hand side, so I'm going to put the left hand here. It's going to be my trigger hand. So I'm going to place this one first. Just go ahead, drag this up around the right spot. Use all your viewports. Utilize the different angles from your viewports. Except when that happens. When that happens, just drag to front. Let's see. Go ahead. What I'm using to rotate my viewport is I'm holding down Alt and the middle mouse wheel button. You can also do it right down here. So, rotate that. And once again, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not going into great detail of this. I can see it's clipping a lot, but I don't really care. So one hand is pretty much placed. I'm just placing these quickly. And if you're using this gizmo and you see the arm just stretches and it doesn't go all the way, you're going to have to take the shoulder bone and just move that up. Take this back to right about there. Rotate a little bit. Now usually I would curl in these fingers. Just going to do it very quickly. You can see that's very ugly, but I'm just doing this quickly. And then we're going to do the same for these ones. Just switch it to view here. It doesn't look right, does it? Now I realize this is very, very ugly, but this is just to show you how this works. And we're just going to move the shoulder bones back a bit so my guy's wrist isn't completely broken. That wouldn't be good. Don't be afraid if anything clips. As long as you can't see it in first person, you should be good. So right there. There's your basic hand positioning. Of course, I did it in like 3 minutes, so it sucks ass, but what can it do? So, now the thing we need to do to get ready for the actual animating process is link the hands to the gun so that when I move the gun around, the hands stay with it. So, it's just like linking everything else before. Select the gizmo of the hand that's usually on the wrist. Go animation, constraint, link constraint, and just link it to the main of the gun. We're going to do that for both wrists. There we go. Now when we move the gun around, the hands will stay with it. And that is your pretty bare bones basic tutorial on rigging a SMD. There you go. So, just save this and start animating. Have fun.